black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis. First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Happy morning. Happy Monday. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it going on this lovely eclipse of a morning. Yes, indeed. It's that day. So I'm glad you could be here with us in fellowship. And this is how we do our show. Hour one, we usually look local. What's going on the left coast, this side of town, the Pacific Ocean part. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person of interest. And I will add that it is Monday, so we have our Mindful Monday segment to kick off the second hour, getting us in alignment with a little guided meditation from Sahara Ali. Get our minds right and our week off to a great start. I think more important than ever today, because it is a solar eclipse, and even though you won't be able to see it in its totality here in California, it'll still block part of the sun. There's energetic and spiritual and scientific movement, and sometimes people can get a little out of alignment. So we're gonna put extra light on everything, extra love on everything, and take it kind of slow today, okay? Okay. No cussing people out in traffic. No leaving late. We got to be mindful and protect our peace. So joining me in studio, it's always great when folks are willing to come in and sit down with me and get to know them. He's with an organization called In Between the Buildings, and he is an activist who has done time. He was shot in 2017, was paralyzed, and was able to start walking again, and has committed his life to making a change here in Los Angeles. Reg Taylor, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
So you're an Angelino?
I'm an Angelino. Grew up in Los Angeles. Been 1970. My mom moved out here. She jumped from Swan Lake, Mississippi in 1965 and came out here to Los Angeles and came out here to babysit for my auntie, and my auntie got started first. And once my mother made the jump in 65, here we are.
Here you are.
Yeah.
I should also mention that you are a cousin to my dear friend, my dear departed friend, the late Bo Taylor.
Yes. In the early stages, my cousin first started activist work in 92 after the riots, and then he was real instrumental in getting a lot of programs for a lot of youth in the gangs, and then unfortunately he demised in 2009, just before I came home.
Yeah, that was really sad. Young guy, too young to be leaving the building, but someone that when I came to L.A. from the Bay Area, not knowing L.A. culture at all.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
He was one of the people that I met that helped me to, help make a difference here by connecting the urban peace movement with the radio and the activism of, media folks like myself who cared about making a difference with the work of individuals in the communities who were making and are making their own communities safer. So it sounds like in your own way, but on a different angle or a different path, you are carrying on that tradition.
Yeah, absolutely. And what happened was, at that stage, I think I was real young, still in the mix, so I didn't want to really get in the mix of being activist and organization with my cousin while my hands were still in the mix. So I always had a foot in and a foot out, but I saw his work. And the thing that I learned now, why it's real important for me, because I'm here to pick up the pieces and put the story together for the family. Not so much with trying to put the pieces together for gain and the prevention, because I think right now, even with that, the gangs are making it. Older guys like myself figured it out, that we're making a transition, and a transition from being able to talk to the youth in the streets. We are able to talk to the youth on social media, because the platforms are being able for us to tell our stories and really get a message out there about how some of us survived this stuff, and maybe get some intricate ideas of how to get out of that life and not really be traumatized. Because I deal with more of traumatics now with PTSD, guys suffering from that. It's more like more psychological that I do, and talk to guys about how to get through this trauma and traumatic and leave that stuff alone.
When you say PTSD, are you talking about PTSD from community violence, war,
Yes.
family violence?
Everything.
All of those.
Generational curses. PTSD, we're dealing with, like I said, generation curses, maybe dealing with some stuff that may happen, ancestry, that maybe some of us are here to take these generation curses off us. So I look at all this stuff that's happening in the spiritual transition as well. Be it it's a solar eclipse and things are transitioning. So I look at some of us are here to do a different job than what most was doing in the past about tackling violence in our community. More of a psychological approach, and say, hey, traumatics, we can talk about it. And I think therapeutic talks and coming together on being on social media, meeting guys from different parts of the land and sharing their stories is really bridging something, bringing it together to where having a better conversation. Because what I learned about therapeutics, and I land with this, was conversation, just talking about your ancestors, talking about how, most people, wherever they at, their grandmothers and so forth and so on, and what was eating, what was happening in their early lives to what led them to wherever they at now. And for most parts, like I say, Generation X, I call us the special generation. Something special about us, man. We was them cool, tough kids, but I think that Generation X has the power and the ability to maybe bridge the gap between the youth, because what's lacking with the youth now is no direction. And a lot of them getting their answers on social media. So I told a lot of guys, and I land with this, that we can kind of reach the youth or where they at on social media.
I wonder about that, though, because I've talked to some people that are activists, particularly around community violence, and they say that there's a lot of people on social media posing as people that they're not. Some
Absolutely.
white kid in Kansas stirring up like trouble in a neighborhood in Chicago or South Los Angeles or New York
Yes.
from the safety of his parents' attic or whatever. And so how do you combat the misinformation, the disinformation, and even people who are involved who do things on social media for glory,
Yes.
commit acts that they think will make them viral or powerful on social media?
You know what I say to that, Damo? Sorry, Dominique. I say it's like, even in the streets, we had guys that was getting to it, and then you had guys that wasn't really about that. So it's the same dynamics where you got guys on social media posing to be something that they're not, as opposed to those that are, who live this life. Now, what I say to that is, to anybody that's on social media advocating violence, you got to look at them like, well, they're not really about that life, because if you on this app are doing these things to advocate violence, then again, you have to do discernment and basically distinguish if this guy's real or not. And a lot of fact checking. I mean, seeing where this guy's from, seeing what they're about, and just basically having a understanding that the streets don't move like that. Most guys move silent, and if there's any type of violence that's happening, I think it's just advocated with propaganda, because again, a lot of people don't even like us even coming together with blacks, whites, and a lot of folks is basically bridging gaps of never really having these having uncomfortable conversations and make them comfortable. So what I'm thinking is, on a macro level, is they're finding out that kids are getting new information. Everyone called the new download, tap in, tune in, whatever. And that's good. But I think what's happening is they're seeing that there's a shift of conversation where people are coming together from all diasporas of life. And that's scary to the powers that may be. Now, what's happening is, again, for those that's getting on here thinking that we're still active and with that gang violence is a lie. I think his stuff is really changing. I think what's happening is the youth is just basically, some of the guys that's doing that, and I land with this, is basically just pushing propaganda that, it could be spiritual, something eating them spiritually and getting them to do this. I don't know, but I think for the most part it's just propaganda, and it's one of those necessity things that's gonna happen. You combat it by knowing how to distinguish what's real and what's fake.
And clout chasing, right? I mean, some of it is clout chasing.
Absolutely, for likes and dislikes and thinking, because again, everybody knows that the gang thing per se is still relevant in the lives. It has an influence, and so when people get on these things to want to have, get noticed, of course they're gonna, I'm tough, look for attention and clout chasing, clicks and whatnot. And a lot of false information with guys that never really lived that life is speaking on our stories as well. A lot of guys are combating that as well. It's like, how you going to speak on our life if you never lived that life? Now, I get that you can do extensive studies on things, but to actually live the life is different from actually speaking about something you have no recollection of.
Talking with Reg Taylor. You're welcome in the conversation as usual. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. As usual on this eclipse of a Monday, we have a lot to talk about, and you know where to find us, 800-920-1580, or in the YouTube chat, youtube.com, KBLA 1580. This is a place where we are amplifying Black and progressive voices around the clock. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Febreze Fabric Talk. Hey, it's me, your couch. Today's my favorite day of the week. Febreze Fabric Spray Day. The occasional deep cleans are nice, but in between, I'm needing a refresh. Ooh, here she comes with the Febreze Fabric Spray. Oh yeah, spritz them armrests. Don't be shy. Nothing like a good spray down to get me smelling so fresh and clean. Don't forget my back. Nice. Febreze Fabric Spray. It's just that easy. Now we can both breathe happy. Febreze. La 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 la.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Psst. Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? My...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now we're talking with Reg Taylor. This organization you're working with, In Between the Buildings, is inbetweenthebuildings.org. Yes. And you mentioned trauma and helping people process post-traumatic stress disorder, whether that's from street violence, family violence, or actually veterans of war.
Yes.
And how do you do that?
Well, you first ask about their life, if they're competent. Some guys are real, because of a lot of drama, they really can't speak on how they get up in that, how they landed in that situation. But for the most part is hearing their story, just seeing where they at, meeting them where they at, and how they get there, if they're able to speak on that. And that's one way. And then number two is talking about, solutions. One thing I always say that, what's your solution? I always ask people, what's their solution? What do you think? And most part it just be the basic necessities, man. Getting off the street, getting some help, being a part of something, and being around people that they can talk to. And because one thing I learned about therapeutics, even for myself, what helped me get through was being able to talk to people. And I remember sitting in a wheelchair before I started walking again, because I was paralyzed for 11 months, and then I just started walking again. And that was challenging for me. And one thing I learned about sitting in that chair, you're alone in your thoughts. And the first thing that I learned, that I need to talk to somebody about what I'm processing, what I'm feeling. And most of the times that the mind, it holds in the subconscious all the trauma, because I was just living subconsciously within my mind. So when I started talking to these things that was bothering me, I started addressing them like I'm having a candid conversation with them. Hey, trauma, I know you was abused. I know this happened to you. I know this happened. And what I mean by abused, I'm mentally abused and physically abused, because I was abused in the womb by my dad. My dad was a Vietnam vet. He came home in 1970. He got hit with Agent Orange, and he abused my mother. Yeah, so I was in the womb abused. So I tell people, my first fight was I lost between my dad. My dad was he went bananas, but it's not his fault. He ended up making amends, and things got better for the family, and he moved on. But with that being said, so my trauma was suffering from abuse, of physical abuse in the womb of my mom. So when I got out the hospital, and long story short, that I knew that I had some type of ADHD, so some suffering, but they wasn't diagnosing us back then for ADHD or any type of traumatics, because as time went on in the 80s is when I started realizing that I'm having some mental issues. But again, back to your original question of how do we reach that, is I think it's just having a candid conversation, talking to people, asking them what they feel are the solutions to get them out of their situations. And most time, what I learned, people just need to be heard and talked to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a system? I mean, you're not a shrink, right? Do you have a system? Is it like community peer counseling? I remember, I went through Jim Brown's AmeriCam curriculum. Yes. With a bunch of folks, including folks from your cousin's organization, Unity
Right.
One. And they had a curriculum. They have a curriculum, where it helps you address, what they call the early childhood conditioning, and, learn. They have systems where you can sort of relearn how to deal with those early experiences and even more recent experiences that are traumatic. What system are you using?
Well, one of the systems, I'm not too much familiar with the worksheet that my partner Eddie Banks got. Mr. Fleming, he got all the curriculums, but I'll just do more of the advocacy of getting people involved. And I think he has more of the curriculum of the aspects of it, because what he's running across is, again, trying to get a building and funding, and so we can set it all up. But he himself has been working drastically with it. I think he has more of the curriculum.
Okay, so for you, it's more of like a community peer kind of situation. And you talk a lot about ancestors, which is something, that I don't remember hearing a lot in different community-based organizations. But you feel what about that piece of the puzzle?
I think that for all the brothers that's been advocating for peace out here in Los Angeles are missing the key components of why we were the leaders that we were. And what I mean by that, I say that lightly because back when Raymond them started, these guys were kids. And what I mean by kids is they didn't have the notion. They were doing thing Ancestry, just moving this. These is 14 and 13-year-old kids coming together, learning how to organize, man, to be followed. So leaders are born. But now we talk in 1969, where we was because we was just going through a transition of civil rights, trying to figure out what color we was. We black, we this, we Negro, we that. Now we African American. So we was going through transitions. Then, in a sense,
okay. I mean, I got you.
That's
one interpretation. Okay.
Right. Okay. So, but now,
I think a lot of people knew they were black, but okay.
Right. You know what I mean.
I don't think we were confused. Maybe the titles.
The titles, right? And to be respectful, we knew who we were.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
There you go, Damo. But the media was, right. So when I saw that transition, when I look back at that transition, I say to myself, they had it. But now I think the missing pieces is finally about to come together, where I'm talking about why it's coming back Ancestry to put it together is because the migration, like my family, like I got 2 books right here that my family wrote, one on my mom's side, My Swan Lake, Mississippi Life, of how my mom, 13 kids, everybody migrated from Swan Lake, Mississippi to Los Angeles. And then on my dad's side, Winder, Georgia, where we lost a lot of property in Tanner Bridge. Yes. Tanner Bridge is my grandmother's story, and it's a true story of this is Swan Lake, Mississippi.
Okay.
Yes.
Holding them up if you're on YouTube.
Thank you. And Tanner Bridge on my dad's side explains how property was taken from us in 1930, right after Franklin D. Roosevelt died, because my family was instrumental with saving the whole town in Warm Springs, Georgia. It's in the book. And we made it to the White House and cooked for Delano, Ellen, and Franklin D. Roosevelt. After Roosevelt died, supposedly, because he had polio, and my great-grandfather was instrumental with helping a lot of diseases and had a lot of herbs. We saved the whole town in Warm Springs, Georgia, and end up cooking for Delano and Franklin D. Roosevelt, my family. And Warm Springs became known as Little White House because of my family's instrumental of saving the whole town. And we became, we was known for herbs and shamans back in Winder, Georgia. My family was instrumental with healing and things of that nature.
So you're reclaiming that legacy?
Yes, because I feel that it's ancestral that's coming for me to heal people. I healed myself.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. I mean,
yes.
We'll start talking about it. We got a couple minutes here before news, traffic, and sports. But you were paralyzed and you were shot. Is that what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a street community violence situation. Yes. And you were told what?
I was incomplete, that I may never walk again.
They told you might not walk again.
Might not walk again.
And you were in some kind of therapy, like physical therapy.
Physical therapy.
And you were in a wheelchair?
I was in a wheelchair.
For how long? Like you said, almost a year.
About almost a year, 11 months. And I transitioned from the walker to the cane to now I'm walking all by myself. And
how do you suppose you did that?
I did that mentally and spiritually by, I tell you this. This was in 2017, and I was 44. No, excuse me. Yeah, I got out the prison in 2014, 2 years and 6 months, which led to February 2017. I was working construction, got out of all that life, and when this happened, I was 46 at the time. Now, real fast, when it happened, Dominique, I knew it. I just knew what time. I just knew what it was about. Everything flashed and so forth and so on in my life. Now, when I got through surgery and all that, through the hospital, shout out to Cedars-Sinai, those doctors saved my life. But he said, I'm confined to a wheelchair. I said, Now, the first thing that, the first few months that it was turbulence. And I kept asking questions, why, what, why? And then when I started to heal first thing I started to do was talk to heal the past, talk to people in the past, talk to the dead, talk to my mom, talk to ex-women, talk to friends, all the people that I may have hurt on the road of my life. And that's when I started to make amends with spirits. First thing I started to say, okay, can't think like that. I changed my thinking. Some people call it rewiring the thought pattern, which I did. I changed that. Can't think like that. Can't get mad. Look back. I played a lot of situations in my life because at that time I was 47. So at that time I was going through a lot. I mean, I had experienced a lot of things in life, and then things was coming back to me spiritually. It was like that movie, Tales from the Crypt, when Double K was sitting there and he had to transition. Either he was going to go to heaven or hell, per se. But I was making that transition, talking to spirits and healing from that. And I know that we got it.
Yeah, we got news, traffic, and sports. Hard stop. But, of course, I have questions with everything you just said. That's straight ahead. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. New Jersey has experienced nearly 40 aftershocks following Friday's magnitude 4.8 earthquake. The U.S. Geological Survey says the quake was the strongest to hit the East Coast in a few years. Seismologists expect more aftershocks in the coming week, especially near the epicenter in Reddington, New Jersey. It's another accolade for Beyoncé, who is debuting on top of the Billboard 200 with her new country album, Cowboy Carter. The album, which was released March 29th, arrived with 407,000 equivalent units. The number is the biggest so far this year and makes the African-American superstar the first black woman to ever debut at number one on top of the country albums chart. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers lost at home to Minnesota. They played without LeBron. He was at home with the flu. The Lakers also played without Anthony Davis after the first quarter. AD suffered an eye injury. 30 points for Rui Hachimura in the loss. The Clippers overcame a 26-point deficit in the third quarter to beat Cleveland. The win was number 50 for the Clippers, their first 50-win season since 2017. Paul George scored 23 of his 39 points in the fourth quarter to spark the comeback. Congrats to South Carolina women's basketball coach Dawn Staley. South Carolina beat Iowa to win the NCAA National Championship and cap an undefeated season at 38-0. Third national title for Staley at South Carolina. Tiger Woods is planning to play in the Masters this week. Barring any physical setbacks, the 48-year-old Woods will tee off in the first round on Thursday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. Visit jpmorganchase.com/racial equity and get the tools to help reach your financial goals.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age.
I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you, and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
What happens on Tavis Smiley is the talk of the town. You can now tune in to the Tavis Smiley Show, weekdays at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Catch Tavis Smiley on the 9s, weekdays, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're talking with Reg Taylor. He's with the organization called In Between the Buildings, and he's working on healing folks in these streets, whether it be, veterans or people struggling with various kinds of trauma. You talked a little bit about your ancestors and shared that you have these books from both sides of your family, which is pretty amazing gift. One of the things I've wondered all these years working with people who have been involved in gangs, been involved in crime. You kind of referenced it when you were going through, your own story, which is how do you, when you turn and you say, okay, now I'm going to help heal trauma, or I'm going to keep peace on the streets, or I'm going to be part of the solution in some way. How do you spiritually, emotionally, psychologically cleanse yourself from whatever dirt you've done or whoever you've harmed? And to me, it sounded like when you were talking about getting up out of the wheelchair and being able to walk, that seemed like it was part of your process.
Amazing. Yes.
And so then you went through this process, something you created yourself about how to sort of confront old traumas. You said you talked to dead people. I'm sure some people's hair stood on end when you said that. What do you mean?
Well, I would say this. All the friends that I lost, and I had friends killed in front of me, and that traumatized me. 2 of my best friends was murdered right in front of me. And I talked to those spirits. I talked to a lot of things that I know that happened in that life, and I just talked to the dead. And I talked to the people that were so-called my enemies. I talked to the people that did this. I said, oh, brother, I forgive you. I just had candid conversations with spirit. I talked to my grandmother. I talked to my aunties and things of that nature. And that was the first, like I said, beginning parts of healing. And one of the things I had to say to myself is acceptance. I said, okay, accept this. Acceptance. Because another part of my healing was when I go out here to Rancho Los Amigos, and I talked to a lot of paraplegics. And paraplegics used to move around happy and this, that, and the other in their chair. And one of the things I asked them, man, to hell with me, how do you do that? How do you do that every day? Because I'm walking. How the heck do you do that one? And the first thing they said is accepting that this is my life and I live in my mind. I get a book by Christopher Reeves. Everybody familiar in the 70s with Christopher Reeves. He was Superman. Superman get paralyzed. He was a paraplegic. And one of the things in his books that he said is he lived it within his mind. And I said, that's it. That's what I've been doing all my life. I live in my mind. I create my world right here. I remember being in solitary confinement in prison. Live in my mind. They said, don't let the time do you. You do the time. So I never let it do me. I did it. Now, what I mean by that is the pain. Of course, I live with pain every day. Extremities. Don't take no meds. Don't do no pills. No nothing. No meds. And I tell pain, you're my friend. I'm not mad that you got to beat me up. I accept that you hurting me. I get it. So I accept the pain. It's like telling the pain that, okay, I get it. You got to pain me because I've done wrong in life. So I accept the extremities. And it's like they say, man, I said, man, I live with pain, but pain, no gain, no pain. So when I live and accept the extremities that's happening, the pain goes away.
And then, I mean, and so it was more like little by little you stood up. It wasn't like one day you stood up and started breakdancing.
No, man.
Little by little you went from a chair to a walker to a cane, and the whole time you were working on your mental.
Absolutely.
What did the doctors say?
Well, the doctors was like a miracle. They said that you figured it out.
Okay.
Because you learned to accept whatever had to happen to you, because if God wanted you dead, you'd be dead.
Right.
So I asked myself, okay, you want me alive? What's my mission? First thing I asked, I can't walk. You took something away from me. Why did you take something that you know? Another thing I had to learn. You're going to sit in this chair, Reggie, and you're going to you're going to see life move around without you, because I had a high ego. I thought I was this, I thought I was that. So I had to get my ego bruised. I had to watch ex-girlfriends go through whatever. I just had to watch things from where I couldn't use things that I normally use and see. And it humbled me so much, man, to where I said, man, I wasn't appreciative with what I had. You know, I had to appreciate the little things, man. And that was tough for me, to where, again, I said I had to let that beat me up in order to heal. It's like healing a black eye. Oh, I'll heal. And I think that was one of the things sitting in a wheelchair taught me, to accept being beat up, because you're going to heal from this. And all bruises, all wounds heal. And I think that that's one of the transitions of getting out of the chair, was acceptance and talking to those spirits, like I said. And then once I made the transition, again, the extremities, of course working out. And of course I'm a stout Buddhist. Chanting,
You're a
meditation.
Buddhist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I learned the realms of chanting, vibrations, and circaics, different sounds,
Were you a Buddhist when you went into
I was.
prison? So you've always been?
Always been.
Okay.
And I never knew when it was going to come back to use the Buddhist. I never got fully.
Right, you weren't immersed in it.
Not at all.
Right.
But I just knew the fundamentals. And one thing I never forget was a poster that my guy had in prison. My Buddhist partner, when he put this tattoo, he said he had a picture of a Buddhist in a lotus position. And in this lotus position, all the dragons and demons are around it. And he was just
Which is a cross-legged position, sitting up, for those who aren't familiar.
Okay. Absolutely, sorry. And what I noticed about the picture was the lotus position, the Buddha was unscathed. He was smiling, and he had all type of demons and serpents all around his body. And I asked my man Vu, I said, yo, what does that mean? He said, oh, that means the Buddha is unscathed. So, and that picture just stood in my mind for this was like in 2002. Now, I just remember that picture, and I asked myself, why did this picture stay with me for so long? I realized that through the toughest time, you can't be unscathed. So whatever I had to go through, I was unscathed, and I knew that I'd get through it, because I knew that this is ancestral. And why it was ancestral, because when I looked at and found out what my family did in Winder, Georgia, healed the whole town, Warren Springs, and made it to the White House, I think I got something. Yeah.
Okay, right. It's the importance of knowing our ancestors, knowing our roots. And you also study Indigenous ancestry. Is that also right? What is that? Where does that fit in this puzzle?
Yes, but what happened was I found out that on my dad's side, we are Cherokee, Irish, and Creek Nation. And my great-grandfather and great-great-grandfather was Creek Nation. and my great-great-grandmother and great-grandmother was Cherokee Irish, and that combination created 11 children. Out of that 11 children was my grandmother with 6 boys, and to find out that we was Cherokee Irish and Creek, that was kind of cool. And I was like, oh, okay, I have Indian ancestry. Now, not to negate of African roots, never that. But what I tell people is in the 1800s, this is what my family was enlisted. Now, there was a thing going on with the indigenous Indian paradigm and what was happening in the 1910s and the Indian Removal Act. And not to get too in depth with that, but I found out that a lot of nefarious things was taken under the Homestead Act, the second Homestead Act, where that goes back to the book Tanner Bridge. On one side was Colonial Tanner and my great-great-grandfather and Colonial Tanner, who fought in the Confederate Army. They was partners. And on the other side was our side, the black community, per se. But on the other side was the Irishes. But that community was together.
So you have Confederates and Union soldiers in your DNA fighting each other right now
as we
speak?
I do.
On a cellular level?
I think so. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because I'm caught in between of being on that side because my family stood on the Confederate side. That was the crazy part.
That's wild. Yeah. I think about that, not just with you. It's something I've always thought about. If many Black American people do have Confederates in their family tree, aren't those, the DNA has memory, aren't the DNA from your, rebellious, formerly enslaved ancestors and your Confederates duking it out?
They're duking it out.
And
totally
that's trauma right there.
That's,
that's pre-birth trauma.
Wow.
Talking with Reg Taylor, and when we come forward, we want to talk a little bit about politics, the presidential, and you're going to explain to me why you think people are, yourself included, leaning away from Biden. I'm curious to hear what you say. We'll talk about that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
There are many healthcare organizations serving our community. Not all are dedicated to community partnerships that educate, build trust, inspire hope, and improve outcomes. Providence has a robust community outreach program and has dedicated $50 million over the next 5 years to support organizations addressing health disparities in local communities of color. Examples of this commitment include the Biddy Mason Community Wellness Center on the First AME campus, providing medical screenings, mental health therapy, nutrition, and culturally sensitive holistic classes. The Black Mamas Glowing Peer Support Group that focuses on maternal mental health, birth planning, and social support. Providence is committed to building trusted partnerships with community organizations to better understand and dismantle structural, racial, and cultural barriers to better health. During Minority Health Month, Providence is sponsoring Health for a Better World. Informative conversations with Providence health professionals on Urban Family Focus every Saturday in April at 7 a.m. To find a Providence Health System facility near you, log on to providence.org.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a new Samsung Galaxy A15 for just $99. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah! Good talk.
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. In-store activation on single Silver Unlimited plan or higher required. Family plan discount with 4 lines all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
The thing no one tells you about periods is that your flow changes every day, and so should your tampon size. Tampax has 5 absorbencies to match your changing flow. If it hurts to remove, go down a size. If it leaks, go up a size. Only Tampax has a leak guard braid to help give you up to 100% leak and odor-free protection. All-day comfort and protection for under $5 a month. Based on average U.S. consumer usage at manufacturer's suggested price. However, pricing is at the sole discretion of the retailer. Excludes 8-count pack.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions.
Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
Okay, I've never talked to this person before. His name is Reg Taylor. I know his cousin Bo Taylor very well. He's an activist and a healer. Is that fair? A healer? The organization is in between the buildings. Reg Taylor is with me. And, you know, you shared your personal journey. Yes. Some of it. We could probably talk for 7 hours just going through, you know, how you wound up in prison doing that time, right. How you ended up getting shot in a wheelchair, came out of that against the expectations of doctors,
right.
Faced your demons and sounds like also your blessings.
Absolutely, man.
Dug into your ancestral line, and here you are now.
Yes.
You told me that you think that there's a reason why you believe people online. You said online, and you didn't say this, but I'm gonna draw this line because I've talked to some formerly incarcerated people, several of them, who feel like they're gonna go with Trump this time.
Right.
You said the vibe online, but I'm also extrapolating that there's some movement for people who have been justice involved, I think is the word I'm supposed to use.
Yes.
What do you mean by that energy or that vibe that you're feeling?
My experience was, I remember vividly, 2012. Now, a lot of people won't understand this, but I was in prison, and this was the second Obama. It was the second term of Obama, and I remember everybody was like, "Hey, man, we about to have a lockdown. The prisons, man. We about to go on a hunger strike. We about to start a new movement. Blah blah blah. This, that, and the other." Now, I was in Arizona at the time in prison, and I said, "Where's this coming from?" They said, "From the big heads, man. They about to lock. We going to show the administration that we got power, and it's starting with coming together with the Aryan nations." Bloods, Crips, GDs, so forth and so on. We campaigning for Larry Hoover. We campaigning for all the homies that's on solitary. We want them out. We finna show the administration we got power. Okay. Didn't think of nothing. We did that. Show the strength of power. Now to zoom it up a bit, the politics was started to change. They said, "Man, we tired of these democratic policies. They're not helping us. They are, it's more basically calling it out." For
now, who's they?
The
who's
guy,
the they that's
social orders, Bloods, Crips, other races. They said they kind of like about to get behind Trump in a sense and try something new. That because Trump was more of the first term. This was the early stages of talk. Trump more for the business, and he's more of we understand capitalism as opposed of socialism. So they was kind of mixing that up and out. So I'm listening.
Yeah. Now, just to be clear,
Yes,
neither
ma'am.
Obama nor Trump are anywhere near socialism.
Right, and again,
it's,
you're right, Dominique.
Two branches of the capitalist tree. But go ahead.
You're right, and this is what was happening of people that's in the forefront of being the blame. Because like I tell people, you can't blame Obama. Blame the people in the back that Obama put to do these things in office.
What, like what?
Far as policies, if he implement a policy.
Well, give me an example of a
like
policy.
DACA and other.
DACA.
Yes.
So you have a problem with DACA?
No, I don't.
People have a problem with DACA.
I said,
why?
Well, because it's
DACA was the
yes.
the Dreamers, which designated children who were brought to this country as little kids through no decision of their own by their parents. They got special protections. That most of them were raised in this country, never been in another country.
Yes.
So to deport them would create chaos for them.
I agree.
And they got special protections under the Obama administration. Your circle had a problem with that.
And people had a problem with that because they figuring, well, policies like that should be here at home. And I tell people they do because you guys don't take the jobs. Now, I agree that.
But DACA wasn't about jobs. It was about not deporting people who came here as little kids.
And they was a complaint about that being part of immigration and we letting everybody. Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely part of immigration. Yeah.
Right. And I have no problem with it because, again, like I said, and that's what one of the things they was complaining about. Well, there's no policies for us. Well, one thing I did say under the Obama administration was they implemented a percentage of hiring ex-felons for jobs. That's how I got a job under the Obama administration.
Right.
But then again, when you're working with other races, like I rate, not racist, but races, not racist people. But when you're working with other races, you saw how they controlled the workforce more than us, and we were left out. A lot of the brothers was left out. If it wasn't for PV Jobs hiring us at 2014, when they finally implemented a lot of these percentages for us to get jobs, what I learned was a different talk on the workforce about, again, Obama's policies. Now, you had white guys telling me, yo, we going Trump way. We getting into Trump this, Trump that. Now, when I was talking to a lot of people online to zoom it up a bit, this was like just before he won the presidency. The first time everybody was talking, they tired of the Obama administration. Whatever they was blaming Obama for, I don't really want to get into all of the stuff that they was trying to pass on his plate and say that he's to blame for, all the whatever they be talking about, human all that stuff under the
all of the disinformation, misinformation, Pizzagate.
You know
when the Russians came in and started infiltrating our feeds and setting up fake Black Lives Matter accounts and pitting black women against black men through the manosphere.
Thank you.
Fast forward to 2024.
Thank you, Dominique.
Do you think that you feel like that energy is still there, or even bigger than it was back then?
It's bigger because, again, on top of what you just said, and that's not a fair shake for the Democrats, because when you have propaganda policies, like propaganda being pushed out there, it's like, how can you dang if you do and dang if you don't? But now, the reason why I say that the media is playing into it, because they know that a lot of the blacks in Chicago, a lot of the brothers that I talk to that's in the gangs up there, they saying they pulling away from these socialist policies, so forth and so on. And people are counteracting on that and saying, hey, well, maybe are these the guys that's doing us like this under this
But if we had socialism, we'd have health care for all. We don't. If we had socialism, we'd have everyone with a basic house.
So what is socialism?
Socialism.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
no, I agree.
I mean, it's a Republican Party talking point. All the things that we have in this country that are socialist based are wildly popular, like the fire department.
Yes.
You don't have to have money to call the fire department. If your house is burning, it's owned by the state. Boom. They come put your house out, the fire out. That's Obamacare is wildly popular, even though people blame Obama for everything. Exactly. Why? Because you can get insurance. It's still not as good as Medicare for all, which would mean everyone would have health care. But we're not anywhere near socialism in this country. So that's why anyway, to me, that's a talking point. No, I don't fight against it. I'm a democratic socialist. Right. I would love to see that, but we ain't there. These folks ain't that. These folks are regular old moderate capitalists. And anyway, I digress. So bottom line, we probably should have started this earlier, but we'll continue the conversation. So where are you right now? Are you ready to vote for Trump?
I'm not voting for nobody.
You're not going to vote at all?
It's nothing to vote for because, again, I'm just speaking in the sense of the nature. Yeah, because it's like
not even down ballot. Like you won't vote for governor or you won't vote for. Well,
I think they need a new look. They need some guys like us in these offices and put us in these positions, man. But I think I'll start at the local level. They got I'm gonna look at some candidates and see can I get behind people on the local level.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you don't want to vote the top of the ticket,
I shouldn't.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
But let's, at least vote for school board and city council and,
I'm looking at more
maybe
of the local
assembly,
level.
the state senators, because, those are the ones that sometimes make decisions about where money goes, what neighborhoods, what programs, even what community-based organizations like yours in between the buildings.
And that's what I was saying as far as on the local level.
Right.
I'd rather get involved on the local level because the local level is more important because D.C. can't make decisions for Cali, man. I mean, I get it, but the local level is where we need to be. And I think that a lot of MAGA people are saying the same thing as well, taking over on the local level. And that's the scary part because this man got MAGA followers that, again, he get in office, he can say, okay, you take over this at the local level.
Yeah, I mean, they have a whole plan, Project 2025. But what you're telling me is it sounds like you're open to it or people around you are open to it largely because of this scarcity mentality that says somehow Latinos or immigrants are taking away from us.
Now, I fight against Republicans on that because what I talked to about the MAGA followers is I said, well, I know it's an influx of people coming in the country that y'all may not be used to seeing. But being out there in Los Angeles, we've been seeing this all our life. It's nothing new to us. These people work hard. They get out here and do the jobs that some of my people won't do, bottom line. And they worked hard. And I've seen that. Now, I don't have a problem with that. Because, again, the same people that's getting over there are the same people that look like you and I. So, again, if you get over here to the Americas, and what I tell people about us is once they get over here coming from whatever torn written countries that they coming from, they figure out that we cool kids over here. And they get aboard the country. They get in culture. No one's trying to destroy you. No one's trying to kill you. No, people get over here and get right in because they say to themselves, hey, I never had this opportunity.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a whole door we can open. You have to come back and have that
I
conversation.
understand.
But it's really nice to meet you, Reg Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you.
InBetweenTheBuildings.org.
Yes.
Thanks for all you're doing. Time for news, traffic, and sports and Mindful Monday on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. New Jersey has experienced nearly 40 aftershocks following Friday's magnitude 4.8 earthquake. The U.S. Geological Survey says the quake was the strongest to hit the East Coast in a few years. Seismologists expect more aftershocks in the coming week, especially near the epicenter in Reddington, New Jersey. It's another accolade for Beyoncé, who is debuting on top of the Billboard 200 with her new country album, Cowboy Carter. The album, which was released March 29th, arrived with 407,000 equivalent units. The number is the biggest so far this year and makes the African-American superstar the first black woman to ever debut at #1 on top.
Have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline.